After Genji finished his late meal, he went out to do the nighttime rounds inside the mansion. Here we go. Damn it, and then I skipped the next message. I gotta look at the log again. He'd eaten some reheated soup that Goda had made, along with some random leftovers from the refrigerator. Those were all things Goda had made himself, and were, of course, delicious. He had half-heartedly gone to ask Rosa and the others what they would do for dinner, but he'd been yelled at by a voice telling him that the canned food they had would be enough, and the door wasn't even open for him. So, ironically, the servant Genji was able to eat a more delicious meal. But why was it that Genji wasn't afraid to do the rounds all by himself, even though all of those crimes had been committed and many people had already met a brutal end? I don't know, narrator. Judging by his appearance as he carried out his usual tasks without a trace of fear, as though everything was normal, you might think all of the horrible events that day had been no more than a dream or an illusion. Was he taking a philosophic view, or had he just accepted his fate? Genji must have considered it a virtue that, when the fate that awaited him was unavoidable, he'd carry out his duties systematically until the last moment. The depths of his heart would probably remain hidden for all eternity, unless he spoke of them himself. He had returned his master key to Rosa, so the places he could reach were extremely limited. All he could do was walk around the hallways, checking to make sure all the windows were closed. That probably made his rounds go a lot faster than usual. At the sound of a reserved knock, Aunt Rosa, who had been falling into a doze, jumped and woke up, pointing the barrel of the gun at the door as she yelled, "Who is it?" I was napping on the sofa, and that voice also brought me back to reality. "Rosa-sama, it is I, Genji." "Do you have some business?" "Don't worry about opening the door. Tell us from there." "Yes, ma'am. In that case, forgive me for speaking in this fashion. I have found Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa's corpses." "What did you say?" "I see. Very well, let's go and check them. Until I see the corpses, I won't believe anyone." Ugh. It's okay, Battler. If you stay with me, it'll definitely be okay. Maybe my face seemed to be darkened with anxiety. Maria grabbed my hand with her small hand and spoke softly, trying to give me courage. Since it was Aunt Rosa's job to ready the gun and stand guard, it fell to me to remove the barricade of sofas. When I finished, I took a backwards glance at Aunt Rosa, who was pointing the barrel of the gun over my shoulder, and opened the door. "Genji-san, where are their corpses?" "In the courtyard. I shall guide you." Battler-kun, wait. Just in case, let's check the doors and windows of this room. Wait a second. Aunt Rosa called me to a halt to prevent me from going on ahead and began to carefully check the locks on each of the windows. But those locks had already been checked once. It felt kind of unpleasant, as though she suspected that I might have secretly unlocked them when she wasn't looking. No, maybe Aunt Rosa was right to be this cautious. Though it was called a courtyard, it wasn't really a pretty place you could take a walk in like the Rose Garden. On the contrary, since it was surrounded by the mansion on all sides, it made you feel a little uncomfortable, as though it was telling you there would be no escape from this mansion, no matter where you tried to run. On the other hand, that meant that even though we could still hear the violent winds, the wind itself was blocked. Genji-san held out an umbrella, but Aunt Rosa ignored him. She was probably hinting that the gun took two hands, and it would be dangerous if she took the umbrella. We didn't need Genji-san pointing for us to notice. Right in the center of the courtyard, we could see where Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san lay. Aunt Rosa entered the courtyard without even opening an umbrella. So Genji and I also entered the courtyard without opening one. Only Maria opened hers. "Maria, is this... you know what?" "Ugh. It's the 7th and 8th twilights. You know, in that Rosa's only stated goal is keeping Maria safe, she's done a very good job of that. You know? But, for everything else, it's hard to say. Updates on Kumasawa and Nanjo. His corpse, family doctor Nanjo, his corpse, which had gone missing, was later found in the courtyard. At that time, it had a weapon shaped like a stake rammed into its knee. With this, the seventh twilight is finished. Servant Kumasawa, her body, which had gone missing, was later found in the courtyard. At that time, a weapon shaped like a stake rammed into its ankle. With this, even the eighth twilight is finished. I see. Certainly, just as Genji-san and the others said, there are horrible wounds on their necks. The cuts are quite sharp, almost as though they were sliced with a katana or something. Those gaping wounds on their necks definitely made me want to avert my eyes, but after seeing that Halloween party in the chapel, even though they looked horrible, they were no longer enough to make me feel sick. More importantly, our gazes fell to their legs, to Dr. Nanjo's knee, to Kumasawa-san's ankle. Driven into each of them was something that looked like a knife or a stake with a demonic design. They must have been the same as the thing that had pierced Jessica's back. What is this? It's just like what happened to Jessica-chan. Is this supposed to be some kind of occult ceremony, I wonder? I do not know. The last time I saw their bodies, there was nothing like these. Maybe it was done after they were carried out of the servant room. The one stuck in Dr. Nanjo's knee was still standing erect, but the one that had been thrust into Kumasawa-san's ankle might have been a little shallower. It had come out and fallen over. So, by looking at the one that had fallen over, for the first time I realized that it wasn't a knife, but something like a stake. Its full length was probably about 30 centimeters. It was probably made out of bronze or iron or something of the sort. Even without touching it, I could tell it had some weight to it. It was composed of a grip and a cone-shaped part, and it was obviously made to be a piercing weapon. Maybe it was like a miniature version of those lances Western knights used on horseback. The spiral-shaped ditches in it made it also look like a small drill. However, the grip had an occult design modeled off a demon or something. So instead of a weapon used in war, it felt like something that would be used in a ceremony to offer up living sacrifices. There's no mistake. They're meant to be sacrifices. On the seventh twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the eighth twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Wait a second. That means they've left out the fourth, fifth, and sixth twilights. Could it be... Of course. Why is Genji-san alone? If something like this has happened, why aren't George Anaki, Goda-san, and Jessica-chan here? Why was Genji-san all alone? What's going on? Where did George-kun and the other two go? They said they wanted to search for something in Madame Natsui's room, and they left. They have not returned yet. What did you say? You said they left, but when was that? Oh wait, did I say Jessica instead of Shannon? 2 or 3 hours ago, I believe. No way! Why didn't you tell us something that... Wait, no, why didn't you think that was suspicious? There must be at least one servant on standby at all times. It was my duty to wait for orders until they returned. Was Genji-san really this much of a robot? This is bad, it's really bad. Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san were killed like this, which means that 3 people have already been killed. We ran towards Aunt Natsui's room, with a touch of anxiety and just as much resignation. Before we even saw the inside of Aunt Natsui's room, we were forced to resign ourselves to a certain fact. On that door was a bizarre scribble. No, filth? Anyway, the room wasn't in an ordinary state, and without even opening the door, we could imagine what we'd find inside. On the face of the door, how should I say it? Handprints, done heavily with the same red paint as the magic circles from before, had banged onto the door, scratched at it, dirtied it. It looked like the aftermath of a kindergartner playing in the mud. I didn't know what it could mean. The bright red paint that had been slathered on was dripping down, and even though no one said it, it made us think of blood. Genji-san, please open it. Bitch, with what? You took his fucking key. Aunt Rosa held the gun up high and ordered Genji-san to open the door. Genji-san approached it without seeming particularly troubled by that stuff on it, and turned the knob, but immediately turned around, shaking his head. It was locked. At that moment, there was only one person in this mansion who could unlock and lock doors at will, Aunt Rosa. This time, Genji-san asked Aunt Rosa to unlock the door instead of the other way around. After frowning slightly for a second, Aunt Rosa handed me a master key and told me to open the door. Battler-kun, would you open it for me with this? Just trusting Genji-san with something like that wouldn't... Aunt Rosa glared at me intensely. Getting into a fight here would only make the mood turn even more sour. Without talking back anymore, I approached that creepy door and tried the knob. It didn't open. It was definitely the resistance of the lock. I stuck the master key into the keyhole. There was a slight resistance. Aunt Rosa told me to be on my guard, and I opened the door without really guarding myself in any way. And then, there was a scene laid out before us that didn't betray my expectations at all. Horrible. As I thought, it's a reproduction of the 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights. Okie dokie. Ushiramiya George died in Natsui's room with his stomach pierced by a weapon shaped like a steak. Hey Vento, welcome. At the 6th Twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. It was possible that they would have ended up as the 2nd Twilight. Servant Shannon died in Natsui's room with her forehead pierced by a weapon shaped like a steak. At the 4th Twilight, gouge the head and kill. She spent her last moments with her beloved. Servant Koda died in Natsui's room with his chest pierced by a weapon shaped like a steak. At the 5th Twilight, gouge the chest and kill. The cook was cooked. Ugh. The inside of the room looked as though a robber had just broken in. Drawers had been flung open, pulled out, and had their contents thrown about all over the place, leaving the room so cluttered you'd never believe it belonged to the methodical Aunt Natsui. But the very first thing that caught our eyes was Goda-san's corpse laying face down right in front of the door. Right in the center of his chest, almost as if it had been stuck there to finish off a vampire, was one of those demon stakes from before. Exactly how far could it have reached after being stuck that deeply into his chest? Just imagining it would make anyone's chest hurt. Wasn't gouging the chest the 5th Twilight? Ugh. Maria grabbed my hand. Her expression looked just like normal, but maybe she really was afraid of the aura in this room where the 3 corpses lay. And along the wall furthest into the room, George Aniki lay dead. This time, one of those stakes had been rammed right through the center of his stomach. Wasn't gouging the stomach the 6th Twilight? Shannon's corpse was face down in front of the dresser, lying in a sea of blood. Had she seen her own face at the end? In that horribly broken mirror stained with blood? Because she was lying that way, I couldn't see her face, but I could guess without even seeing it. Nearby, in the sea of blood she lay in, a demon's stake had fallen. Only the fourth twilight was left. Gouge the head and kill. Maybe my heart was totally worn out and dead. Even though I knew it was wrong, I lifted her head and checked. And I confirmed that my guess had been right on the mark. There was a gaping hole in Shananchan's head, and the insides were dripping out. Not only that, but you could even see inside her. After seeing that, I finally realized I was doing something wrong. I immediately averted my eyes, but by now it was probably pointless. Hey, Battler-kun. You mustn't touch anything until the police come. What do you think you're doing touching it? What will you do if our precious evidence on the scene gets disturbed? Aunt Rosa got violently mad at me and even tugged at the back of my collar. I tottered limply and fell on my butt, gazing dimly up at the ceiling. Moria. Huh? With this, even the 8th twilight is over. What was the 9th twilight again? On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. I see. After this, the Golden Witch Beatrice will be revived. What then? On the final 10th twilight. On the 10th twilight, at Journey's End, you shall attain to the power of the Golden Land's treasures once and for the last time. Very soon, the door to the Golden Land will be open. Very soon. The witch shall be revived and none shall be left alive, huh? We're gonna die now? Or does this mean that the ceremony of sacrifices is over, and that now, at Journey's End, we'll reach the Golden Land? What is our journey? We've spent the whole day trying to find the culprit, spinning our heads as we tried to break out of this situation. And we haven't gotten anywhere. It's like they say, thinking stupid is no better than sleeping. That's right, we spent the whole day burning ourselves up with hatred and paranoia. We were so sure we could only trust the dead, that we came all the way here just to confirm these 3 deaths with our own eyes. If we're like this, why should we be able to make it to the Golden Land? That's right. If we couldn't resolve any of our problems anyway, it would have been so much better if we just locked ourselves up the whole time, without thinking at all. Grandfather's the wisest of us. He's been shut up in his room since yesterday, without any contact with anyone. That was the right decision. Grandfather was the most correct of us all. It's okay, Battler. If you're with me, you'll be okay. The witch is very fickle, and she's a terrifying being who might kill humans partly for fun sometimes. However, if you're with me, you'll be okay, so don't be afraid. Thank you. Even if you're just saying it to console me, I'm glad. Aunt Rosa finished investigating their corpses. She announced that she'd seal this room again, chased the rest of us out, stole back the master key she'd let me, and locked the door again. Apparently, George Aniki had been holding the key to Aunt Natsui's room. She also collected that. Wait a sec. She's got all the master keys on her person. If Natsui's own key was locked up inside this room, doesn't that make it another closed room? So what? Is this the 4th closed room? Now that the suspicions surrounding those 3 had been cleared, we returned to the parlor once more. I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. If only the dead are innocent and everyone alive is a wolf, that only leaves me, Aunt Rosa, Maria, and Genji-san. And besides us, there's only Grandfather and that 19th person, the guest we've seen no trace of, Beatrice. 13 people have died and 6 are left. How would a wolves and sheep puzzle with only 6 people end? Even though a puzzle that started with 19 people has been reduced to 6, I can't think of an answer. Yeah, this is a tough one. Me, who knows the truth, is even like, wait, what's the answer again? Oh, wait, yeah, I remember. We returned to the parlor. I was a bit worried that, while we were gone, creepy magic circle or something might have been drawn on the parlor door. But thankfully, we didn't find anything like that. Thank you, Genji-san. This is far enough. Please rest for the day. Certainly. Then please excuse me. Hey, Aunt Rosa, are you saying you'll leave Genji-san all alone in a situation like this? That's right. I do think it's quite dangerous. But in that case, why is he safe? After those three headed to Natsue-ne-san's room, he was alone the whole time. And yet he's safe. It's a wolves and sheep puzzle. Why would a sheep be safe if it was all alone, and therefore in the weakest possible position? Probably because, by coincidence, there weren't any wolves around. Wrong. It's because it wasn't a sheep. Are you saying Genji-san's a wolf? He said he was alone in the kitchen, but that's impossible to prove. The only ones who could have carried Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san's corpses, who could have killed George and the rest, were him and Beatrice, right? Wait, with that argument, anyone... Battler-sama, thank you for your concern. I believe trust is won not with 100 excuses, but with simple faithfulness. Even if I am not able to gain your trust, I wish to be faithful until the end. Genji-san. Then we're decided. If you truly are innocent, the police will prove that for us when they come tomorrow. So until then, we cannot remove you from suspicion. After your long years of service, I find it truly painful to treat you so poorly. But please understand about tonight. And when tomorrow comes, please let us make up again. Genji-san gave his head a small shake. Today and tomorrow, I will continue to be a servant of the Ushiromiya family. If you need anything, please say so at any time. And if you will excuse me. After hearing all that, there was nothing left to say. Genji-san bowed deeply and left down the hall. Then we entered the room. Even though Aunt Rosa still held all the master keys herself, she thoroughly checked the inside of the parlor again. She opened the curtains and checked again to make sure the windows were locked. As I watched, how should I say it? I felt like it didn't really matter anymore. If I said anything careless, it would turn into another fight. For a while, I gazed at her from the corridor, figured I'd waited just about long enough, and entered the parlor behind her. If she doesn't trust anyone but the dead, why doesn't she go around killing everyone with the gun she's got in her hand? And then, in the end, she'll realize that she herself is the wolf. That she can just blast through the head of the final wolf and close the curtain on this insane murder drama. As I thought that bitterly, I returned to the sofa where I'd been encamped before, rudely resting both of my feet on the table. When I tried to do that, I found something there and stopped moving my feet. What is this? Right there, almost as though it had been addressed to me, was a Western envelope. It was that envelope from before, with the seal of the one-winged eagle. And it was unopened. Wait. What is this? Who put it in a place like this, and when? Until I went with everyone to check the corpses, I was sitting here the whole time. And there wasn't anything there then. And when I returned, it was... here. It's okay. Everything's still locked up securely. This room is safe. I heard Rosa muttering that. Wait. We made sure this room was safe when we left it. We checked that the windows were all perfectly locked. Then we locked it up, came back, and the windows were still locked. And, wait, who put this letter here and how? I opened the letter. 2 pieces of stationery came out. The first page had a magic circle drawn on it with something like blood. If I asked Maria, she'd probably know what it meant. And there was writing on the other page. Have you made progress in solving the epitaph? In just a short while, your time will be up in a flash. The 9th twilight will begin quite soon. There was no mistake. It was a letter from Beatrice. Battler, what is that? When we came here just now, it was sitting right here. What happened, Maria? Huh? Battler-kun, that letter? Wait, it was just sitting right here. Why? Even though we checked to make sure this room was locked. Why? Why? Maria, come here. Aunt Rosa closed her eyes just a little, and after thinking silently for a moment, told Maria to come. Maria obeyed her mother's words. As she did, something unbelievable happened. Aunt Rosa pointed the barrel of that gun at me. Battler-kun, I've concluded that you are a wolf. Why? When I came into the room just now, I saw that there was nothing at all the tables. And I know that Maria did not approach that table. We're talking about a short stretch of time. But the only one who claimed to have approached the table and found the letter is you. How can you... Wait, that's all screwed up. Why would I put something like this here? Wait, I just found something suspicious and reported it, right? Why are you suspecting me? Damn, this really is the Among Us chapter. Because only you could have set that letter there. That's right, this is all a charade. You pulled an envelope from your pocket and then acted as though you just found it, to create the illusion that the witch entered a closed room, set down a letter, and left. Dumbass. Are you thinking like that again? Are you going to suspect me because of something like that? Cut it out. My dad and everyone else were killed. Why would I take part in the culprit's scheme? True. Even if you were offered a large sum of money, I don't want to believe in the existence of the sort of demon who could sell out their own parents. Then again, maybe such a demon does exist. No, that's a bad way to say it. What if you didn't view Rudolph Nissan and Kyrie-san as your parents? What? Think about what you're saying. Dad is dad, right? Of course, I'm not related to Kyrie-san by blood, but she's like a big sister to me. No way in hell I'd let a comment like that slide, you bastard. Stop it. Stop saying I'm sorry, that was a bad way to put it. True, Ushirimiya Battler-kun may be Rudolph Nissan's child. But are you really that Battler-kun? What the hell are you talking about? If I'm not Battler, who the hell else do I look like? All of us, including Rudolph Nissan, are seeing you for the first time in 6 years. No one can prove that you really are Ushirimiya Battler, right? Maybe you aren't Battler, but someone who snuck in, making a skillful bid to steal the wealth of the Ushirimiya family. Can you clearly prove that you're Ushirimiya Battler? Right here, right now? Cut it out, damn it! I'm me, Ushirimiya Battler. If we're gonna suspect even things like that, are you really Ushirimiya Rosa? I'm myself, no one else. Yeah, that's right, it's just as you say, you can't trust anyone but corpses and yourself. If you're gonna go that far, let me make an objection. George Aniki and the others were found dead, and Aunt Natsui's room was locked. George Aniki had the key to that room, right? And by now, the only one with a master key is you, Aunt Rosa, right? Aren't you the only one who could have unlocked that room? My theory goes like this. You're in contact with the real culprit, and while I wasn't looking, you lent them one of the 5 master keys. I didn't do something like that. See, there are 5 of them here, right? As if that matters. You could have had them set in a pre-arranged spot and collected it, right? And weren't you the one who doubted whether there were really 5 master keys? So how do you suggest that someone other than yourself placed that letter there? Until you find proof that someone else did it, you're a wolf. Shut up! Then why don't you show me some proof? How do you claim the culprit killed George Aniki and the rest in that closed room? How did they lock it? That's exactly right. Natsui's room was exactly the same, just like usual. The door and windows were locked from the inside. There were no frauds or tricks, no means of secret passage, nor places in which to hide. Natsui's own key was in George's pocket, and the inside of the room was sealed off. Only the 5 master keys were left, and Rosa was holding all of them. And let me say this, the parlor's the same. The key to the parlor itself is sealed away in the servant room, so unlocking it without a master key is impossible. The definition of a closed room remains the same as always. Come on now. There's only one suspect. Or are you still playing innocent Ushiramia Battler? Shut up! You shut up too! You're the one who should shut up. Why do you claim the letter was placed here by anyone other than you? Unless you can prove such a thing happened, you're a wolf. If we can suspect me, then we can suspect you too, so try showing me some proof yourself. And anyway, weren't you the first person to enter this room and start checking the windows, Aunt Rosa? Then you guessed that I'd go back to where I'd been sitting and secretly put the letter there. It's possible for us to suspect this is a trap of yours, right? Why would I use a trap like that? If I was a wolf, I'd shoot you with this gun without question. That proves nothing. Maybe you chose the roundabout way of setting a clever trap because you couldn't commit murder in front of Maria. All the master keys are in your hands. So what happened, both here and in the last room, was all your doing, right? If you think you can talk your way out of this, then let's hear your excuses. That's right, you've been suspicious from the start, Aunt Rosa. Why is it that even though 6 adults in the family conference were killed, you were the only exception? Why were you the only one not in that chapel? There can only be one reason. You invited Dad and the rest there and killed them. Damn it, damn it! That explains everything, doesn't it? Don't fuck with me, don't fuck with me! Stop saying things that don't make sense! Well, Balor's officially accused Rosa of the murders. Ugh! Stop it! You mustn't fight! Mama too! Battler too! Stop it! Stop it! It's no one's fault! It's not Battler's or Mama's fault! The witch did all of this! It was done with magic! It's no one's fault! Ugh! Maria thrust herself in between Aunt Rosa and me as the blood started rising to our heads. I was taken aback by Maria's crying voice and returned to my senses. I had acted shamefully just now. My eyes filled with tears. That's right. It's all the witch's fault, isn't it? All this about keys and tricks and alibis. All of it was stupid. Even though it's the work of the witch, we weren't even able to trust each other as humans. Right, Aunt Rosa? From the beginning, there wasn't a human culprit. It was all the work of the witch. So there's no way you're the culprit. And there's no way Maria, Genji-san, or I am either. Why has it come to this? Why am I screaming at Aunt Rosa, who I loved? Why am I having this fight with the kind aunt I loved so much? Why? Why does everyone have to suspect each other? I'm not gonna suspect my aunt. I'm not gonna suspect anyone. It's all the work of the witch. It's all the work of Beatrice. It's all a crime that Beatrice committed with magic. Beatrice, please show yourself here and confess to us that you did everything. I'm sorry already. I'm sorry we've been suspecting each other like this. So forgive us. Release us. Release us from this hell of suspecting each other until we see each other die. Give me back my kind relatives and cousins. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it all. You definitely exist. It's your victory. Show yourself. Oh, Beatrice. Oh my god, he's hitting the Kinzo. He's hitting the Kinzo. I actually did not cry during that. That was just acting. Beatrice! The Kinzoification. How the fuck is anyone figuring out book 2? True. Am I still alive? Apparently, some time ago, Kinzo has fallen into a doze. He searched for his spectacles and looked at the clock. It was 10 p.m. That person's ceremony. Let's see, how far has it progressed? Must have come quite far by this time. Kinzo lifted his heavy body from the chair and approached the portrait of the witch that he had gazed at every day. He was asleep? Beatrice, very soon I will have a chance to be reunited with your smile. I care not if I die. I can just see your smile one more time. I will not regret this life. So, for heaven's sake, let me meet with you one more time. Then let me swear my love to you. Let me apologize for my crimes. Oh. But I won't let you escape. You are mine. From your hair to your toenails, to the dirt under your toenails, you are mine. Every fragment of your flesh is mine. Even the broth of your corpse is mine. I won't let you escape. This time you won't slip from my hands. I'll make you mine for all eternity. I will never let you escape a second time. I will never let you escape a second time. Kinzo howled in rage, then suddenly fell to his knees as he shook and scraped at the wall. In an instant, he had started sobbing. Ugh. That's wrong. I didn't want to say something like this, Beatrice. Please, let me see you one more time. Even if you only let me apologize. Beatrice. It's hard to make raspy old man crying noises. You are beloved, yearned for. I was mistaken. If you would just smile, I wouldn't need anything else. I made a mistake. I made a mistake back then. I did something that cannot be taken back. In atonement, I offer all that remains of my life. In order to apologize to you, in order to atone for my crimes. I offered everything. Please, even if it must happen as I die, at least let me apologize. Just once, Beatrice. Yeah, that person's ceremony was an interesting choice of words. As Kinzo shook and cried, a butterfly appeared out of nowhere behind his small back like a flake of gold leaf, and softly descended. You fool, Kinzo. Did you think any woman out there would fall for a man's tears? Well, even if it wouldn't make a human woman fall for you, It might do the trick for a woman who is not human. Kinzo, do you remember that game of chess you played with me, which is still ongoing? Kinzo, as though he had suddenly remembered something, approached the chess set. It was as it had been during the game he'd played with Nanjo until yesterday. After knocking all the pieces off the chessboard, he began to line them up again one by one. It was a setup for an ongoing game. That's right. Like this. I advanced my queen. That was quite a spectacular move. Perhaps it was a little too intense for you. I worried whether you'd abandon your piece or not. Worried for so long. Kinzo waited with the opposite seat empty. Surely very soon his opponent would appear there, and he would be able to restart this game again. You fool, Kinzo. You want to apologize? You want to see my face again? You want to make my smile an eternal thing? Why can't you say a much, much simpler word? Even though that is the sole element of this world. At that time, Kinzo muttered. Was it a prayer? An entreaty? It was probably best to just call it muttering. I love you, Beatrice. They were pure words, like something an innocent child would say, without any evil intent. You really are a fool, Kinzo. If you ever have the chance to do your life over again, know that those words will never cause a woman to fall for you. That's right. Not unless a miracle happens. That's what makes this. At that moment, Kinzo definitely heard a small knock, one with a tempo that differed from those of the servants. Who is it? The woman beyond the door didn't answer. I'm asking who you are. Will you not answer? The woman beyond the door didn't answer. Could it be... Oh... Could it be... Beatrice? Beatrice? Beatrice! The woman beyond the door answered. On the 9th twilight the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. Huh. Oh, we're going. We're gonna finish it. I'm not gonna tell you exactly how many chapters we have left, but we have enough to easily finish it tonight. Balor's figure was in the dining hall. He didn't feel like going back to the guest house in the middle of all this rain, and wandered half-heartedly around the mansion in search of any place where he could sit, before setting up camp in the dining hall. He didn't even lock the door. He thought the shapeless murderer, or maybe the Golden Witch, might come to kill him now that he was isolated, but he no longer had any desire to resist. He didn't even feel like using a locked door to hold off the culprit. He wanted that person to come at him openly from the front. If it was the killer, he wanted to ask them about some of those wonderful closed room tricks as a parting gift. If it was the witch, he hoped she'd at least take his life with some spectacular magic. However, ironically, neither of these two came to meet him. Balor opened the liquor cabinet on his own and enjoyed the liquor to his heart's content. I want to point out how unbelievably uncommon it is to show underage drinking in any Japanese work of art. Like, even as a negative thing, it is extreme. You do not see it often. There is like a very big stigma about depicting that. No longer was there anyone to scold him for drinking alcohol. He boldly rested his legs on the extravagant tablecloth and savored the high-quality liquor, which probably had a mind-boggling price, drinking it down straight from the bottle. Then someone knocked. Battler realized that someone had finally come to greet him. Actually, what's the drinking age in Japan? Yeah, and it isn't even being depicted exactly negatively here. It's just like, sometimes like 10 of your family members die or whatever, and you gotta drink a little bit of alcohol. I think it's like 20. Okay, yeah. They did say he's not old enough to drink alcohol because he's 18. Hey, it's not locked. Whoever you are, please come in. And go ahead and introduce yourself. If you're human, please give me your name. If you're Beatrice, please tell me your bust size. Oh, he is going full jester's privilege right now. I may not look it, but I'm well known as a breast sommelier, you see. He's drunk. It is Genji, Battler-sama. Genji-san, huh? Sorry, but I've got no interest in your bust size. Please, come in. It's unlocked. Excuse me. Genji-san opened the door and bowed. So, is Genji-san the criminal after all? Or maybe an accomplice? That theory would probably explain most of the tricks. Did you come to give me my last rites? Nothing of the sort. I apologize if I am disturbing you. Hey, saying I'm sorry without even telling me what you want is actually pretty creepy. What do you want? Are you gonna tell me that drinking alcohol is forbidden for minors? I'll just die anyway. Please, let me do what I want now that it's all about to end. Battler-sama, do you love alcohol so much that you would spend the little time you have left drinking? Those words pierced me. That wasn't true. I just can't cope if I don't drink. I can't even taste the alcohol at all. I think it's very easy to say that they are drawing a big parallel between Battler and Kinzo here. Never mind, I'll shut the fuck up, I guess. You are just like the Master. Indeed, you inherited the Master's blood strongly. Shut up, Ryukishi! You mean grandfather, the heavy drinker, was drinking to drown his sorrows the whole time? First I've heard of it. After several sad incidents, the Master's life was reduced to one of atonement alone. Sumi Horoboshi moment? What is it you know? Beatrice's ceremony was completed when the 8th twilight ended. I believe I can tell you everything now. What did you say? My drunkenness was completely blown away. I lowered my feet from the table and listened carefully to what Genji would say next. Battler-sama, I shall guide you to the Master's study. It would probably be best to hear it directly from both the Master and... from both grandfather and... Hey, what in the world do you mean by that? Come, this way. I shall guide you, Battler-sama. After Genji told me to follow him, he started to walk down the corridor. I threw my drunkenness off completely and went after him. We climbed a big staircase towards the 3rd floor. Genji-san stopped walking halfway. Then he turned back and spoke. Battler-sama, from here on, you will probably see things you will not be able to understand. Don't think that'll scare me. I've already seen enough incomprehensible things today to make me sick. Please, accept what you see as you see it, and accept what you hear as you hear it. Why? What? There is no need for questions like that. You will learn the truth, and that is all. I will leave it completely up to you, Battler-sama, whether to accept it Believe it or deny it. Genji-san checked one last time to see whether I was prepared to know the truth. The 8th twilight had already ended, and on the 9th twilight the witch would revive, and nobody would be left alive. It means that Beatrice had already revived, and it probably also meant that none of us would be allowed to return alive. If I was going to lose my life anyway, I wanted to know the truth in the end. It didn't matter how hard it might be to accept. Yeah, even if a demon or a witch shows up, I'm prepared. Indeed, you were just like the master in his youth. Battler-sama, please be diligent in your studies. In the future, you will surely have great aspirations. And when that time comes, see to it that you are never forced to regret a lack of study and training. I'd be happy to, assuming I even get a chance to work hard in my studies. Genji-san's silence felt like it was further confirming a certain resigned feeling I had. There's some wild lines by Genji. And then the door to grandfather's study, surrounded by a sweet smell, came into sight. Genji-san took a gold key with an elegant design out from his pocket. The master keys had been confiscated by Aunt Rosa, but he'd kept the key to the study alone on his person. He put it in the keyhole, and it made a heavy clunking sound. Master, it is I, Genji. I have brought Battler-sama with me. There was no reply, but it seemed that permission to go inside had been given. Come, Battler-sama. Please go in. Okay, I'll go in. I readied myself and threw the door open. Golden butterflies. At that moment, I got slightly disoriented by the dazzling golden glow. It was, unbelievably, a swarm of butterflies that shone gold. The gold butterflies that completely filled the inside of the study poured out all at once. What is this? It was almost like golden leaf confetti. The interior of Grandfather's study was filled with a golden glow. And on a sofa, like the reception chair in front of the study desk, I could see Grandfather's back. There was someone on the side opposite from Grandfather. It was in shadow, so I couldn't see it well. Master, I've brought Battler-sama. Battler, is it? I'm busy thinking now. Be silent for a while. Kinzo declared that unhappily, his back still turned. It seemed he was enjoying a chess game with a visitor. Apparently, the opponent had counterattacked with a superb move. Kinzo seemed to be enjoying himself as he thought deeply, while occasionally laughing and groaning. I have thought for 30 years. I have thought for 30 years about how to counter this move. Have fun. Have fun with the move I have fermented for 30 years. Indeed, this is a deeply matured move. What fun. What fun. I see I'm no match for you. What is this? So you came, Battler. I've been waiting for a while. Be silent for Kinzo's sake. Isn't it too early to resign, Kinzo? I could have countered that move in several ways already. Oh, this is a new song. Yeah, this is a new one. This is Black Liliana. It's a good one. It should have been my first meeting with that witch. However, I knew this witch. Even though it was our first meeting, I knew her from the portrait. Genji, serve some alcohol for Battler. What would be an appropriate liquor for this man? That which the master has loved since the days of his youth. Good, good, serve it. You did well coming here, Ushirimiya Battler. First, sit down. You called my name many times, did you not? In deference to that, I allowed you to meet me. So, what will you ask me? What will you inquire? The door of the Golden Land will soon be opened. Soon we will have a banquet to celebrate my revival, at which I will be welcoming in the witches. In the meantime, I'll answer your questions, as many as you like. I've got a bunch of things I want to ask. What happened on this island? And why did incidents like these occur? I want to ask about the closed rooms, too. What about the chapel? What about Jessica's room? And the servant room? And Aunt Natsui's room? And the parlor? There's so much more I want to ask. About the witch's true nature. Is Beatrice really a witch? What's your goal? What do you want to make us do, and why did you call me here? Answer me about everything. Be quiet. You think you'll get answers if you ask? Kinzo's like, do you think she's gonna do anything you ask her to do? Don't say that, Kinzo. A fragile and fleeting spiderweb did offer protection from King Herod once. Just like there are no useless things in this world, there are also no useless questions. Very well. I'll answer all your questions. But only on one condition. What is it? If you hear everything and are able to accept my existence, then you will kneel and kiss my shoes. I called you here because I wanted to make you surrender to me. Kinzo and I made a bet. We bet on which would come first, Kinzo thinking of a new move, or me making you surrender. I don't think I'll lose. Damn you talking so tough. Yeah, alright. Try and convince me. Try and convince me that you're a witch who can use weird, awesome, powerful magic. If I surrender, I'll kiss you or do anything else. The witch cackled gloatingly. Then she glanced at him unpleasantly with eyes that said a man can't go back on his word. Well said. So, from what question shall I begin? I'll answer everything. Come, what will the first one be? And then we fade out. Truly incredible. And then the witch started to tell everything. She began answering all of Battler's questions. Everything made sense. He was convinced by all of it, and then Battler had no choice to admit it. The witch certainly did exist. What followed is a story that needs no retelling. When the king falls and you are defeated, it's time to start reflecting on your finished game. And then, all you can do is set up the pieces one more time. Second game, Turn of the Golden Witch result. Ushirimiya Kraus, first Twilight. Natsui, first Twilight. Eva, first Twilight. Hideyoshi, first Twilight. Rudolph, first Twilight. Kyrie, first Twilight, all chosen by the key of the Golden Land and offered up as a sacrifice. Jessica, second Twilight, pierced by stake of Asmodeus. Kanan, second Twilight, pierced by the stake of Satan. It was a baller credit scene. Shannon died on fourth Twilight, pierced by stake of Mammon. Goda, fifth Twilight, pierced by stake of Beelzebub. George, 6th Twilight, pierced by stake of Lucifer. Nanjo, 7th Twilight, gouged by stake of Belphegor. Kumasawa, 8th Twilight, stake of Leviathan. The witch Beatrice revived on the 9th Twilight. She finally opens the door to the Golden Land. Kinzo, missing on the 10th Twilight. After he acknowledged the existence of the witch and prostrated himself, the witch invited him to the Golden Land. Rosa, the witch did not invite this woman who denied the witch's existence to the Golden Land. Maria and Genji, invited to the Golden Land. Battler, missing on the 10th Twilight. Will he acknowledge the witch's existence and be invited to the Golden Land? The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures in the Golden Land. There they chose to revive the souls and the love that was lost. After all, if their desire had been a mountain of gold of any size, they would not have been able to receive it. Kinzo chose the person he had loved and lost. Maria chose the lost love of her mother. Genji chose a peaceful sleep. Sleep peacefully, Beatrice. Let nothing disturb your slumber ever again. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice, because time ran out before any of the 18 could solve the riddle of the gold. All 18 died. When the Umineko cried, none were left alive. Umineko no Koroni, Rondo of the Witch and Reasoning. Was Ippy what happened to Rosa? We didn't see. Rosa was simply not invited to the Golden Land. Rosa rolls the worst blunt of all time. Asked to leave the Golden Land.